Good. Okay, I'm going to do the walk around portion now. These are some of those placards I talked about, the safety and warning stickers that we need to be sure that we heed all those warnings and read those. Right below that, there's a Pierce Parts website. A placard that shows go to pierceparts.com. You'll click on the red login as guest hyperlink, and you can go to any part of that website. There's training resources there. If you put in your truck job number, right on this yellow tag right here, it'll take you to every part on this truck. Most of the parts have an illustration, if not a photo of the part. So it's very useful website, and has some great resources there. For window buttons here, these are live even with the battery off. Good enough. We got an air horn, mechanical siren switch here, just a tow switch. This is the diagnostic panel that we spoke of, and right down here is your regen inhibits, which will prevent regenning on a fire scene where you don't want the truck exhaust getting extra hot. And I activate that now. That'll be active until I cycle the ignition switch the next time, and it'll reset back to normal condition. That's that one. Right over here is the DPF regen. So you've got the regen needed light illuminated on the dash. The truck is warmed up to full operating temperature, sitting outside, parked and brake applied, neutral, idling at idle. We'll press and hold this DPF regen switch for 5 seconds and kick into a high idle and do a regen for you outside. Battery switch here. This is a speaker for the backup camera, I believe. That's what this is. And it's got volume control on it there if it's too loud or just want to turn it off. You can turn it down with this little volume. This yellow placard I talked about got tire sizes, load ranges, gross vehicle weight ratings, and it's got some tire inflation pressures, but they're just the full pressure. You need to check your load on this truck and set your tire pressures accordingly so that they have the right pressure, especially these front ones. They're going to be pretty close. It's a very heavy truck for only 4 wheels, so they're going to be very close to maximum. But check it. Make sure you get a good ride, good tire. Your auto charge. So this truck has a Shoreline right up front. You're good. 30 amp Shoreline, and when you press the start button, it should, I believe, auto eject that. And that will come out. If that doesn't work, be sure that you port it and get that repaired. I mean, those operate every time you start the truck, so it's a high maintenance item. You're going to have to replace that thing pretty often, but that should work out. And it will kick it out of there with some pretty good force too. It's a big heavy thing, so be sure you don't hurt somebody with it. So you got the PS6 seats, very nice seats. So they're like 8-way power seats. They do all sorts of adjustments. Any lumbar support here, so it's a very nice seat. And it is air ride, and that switch is right here behind your left knee. Alright. Keypad, you guys are already up to speed on, so I'll blow right by that. Battery switch, ignition switch, start, hazards. The emergency master allows you to turn the emergency master switch on from the ground, so that on your morning checkout, you can just walk up to the door of the truck, turn ignition on, start it, and press that emergency master and walk around and check your lights out without having to climb up. It operates independently of this one. You can use either one in either condition. Tilt and telescopic wheel for short guys like me. So it helps me drive the truck. And to the right of the steering column is the high idle, and okay to engage high idle, indicator light. And on this side, the headlights and the panel light dimmer button right here. Standard dash cluster there. You're used to all that. Parking brake here. You got, looks like a David Clark push to talk. Right here. David Clark push to talk. And let's just work my way on around this way. Here's the display, and we'll cover that in detail in a few minutes. But your display is here, and he's working on that now. We may have to save that to the very end. HVAC is here, so it's a split system. There's a front air and a rear air. Those are controlled here. Shifter there, and it says pump in neutral. Be sure you heed that warning. You pump and drive, the truck will move. And then aerial master, aerial PTO, stabilizer cameras, generator PTO, and handrail lights, which are pretty cool. Red lights on the handrail. Perimeter lights and load manager. So the load manager has an off button, and like this regen inhibit button, it just de-energizes the load manager just for that ignition cycle. So the scenario is you go out to check the truck in the morning, and the air conditioner seems to go off and come back on, go off and come back on. First thing you should check is turn that load manager off and see if that solves the problem. These trucks are load managed so that we preserve the battery system for critical systems like pumping of water in a fire. So we load manage certain loads so that it'll shut them off in the event the batteries start getting low. First thing we turn off is high amp draw items, first one of which is air conditioning. Second one is usually heater defroster. So those items will be load managed. So if you've got a light that's out, a 12-volt light that's out, a big flood light that's out, or this air conditioner is coming on, going off, just disable that load manager for a minute and check it out. Start your truck, bring the voltage back up in the system and see if that solves it. Engine brake on off, engine brake low, medium, high. Use the engine brake on its highest setting as you can manage, and use it all the time except in wet weather. It's just going to extend the life of your brakes. Off-road traction. Off-road traction is only off-road. And I hope you never, ever, ever end up off the road. So that engages basically a limited slip differential. And if you anybody happen to have that on their F-250, I actually had that on my F-250. So if I'm backing into a camping spot that's not paved and it's a wet day, one side of my rear wheels will try to spin and I can engage that and it won't spin anymore. If I forget to leave it on, when I try to leave the campground, you go around a corner on pavement and the outside tire is going to bark because it's dragging that tire. So, but that's just off-road and only if you need it. Okay. Off-road traction switch. Next to that's the front wheel lock. Front wheel lock is a parking brake for the front axle. Basically does the same thing as the parking brake on the rear axle. It applies the front brake. Okay. It applies the front brake. If you want to use that, I recommend using it all the time. Certainly it's for use with the aerial, but use it all the time. And when you release the parking brake, it's going to release that front wheel lock automatically. So you can literally leave that turned on all the time. Next to that is the OK to pump light. And the green light on top is OK to pump stationary. And the yellow light down below is OK to pump rolling. So the appropriate one will be illuminated. And the pump shift, or the pump switch, is right next to it. So press that, pump's now engaged. Next to that is another light switch panel. So there's electronic siren and the siren brake for your federal Q. And then the road array and the front flashing lights are on these last two switches here. Anytime you see any of these switches flashing red like that, means they're interlocked with something else. In other words, we can't have high beam flash with the parking brake applied according to NFPA. So if I take the parking brake off, now my high beam flash is working, and this indicator light goes to green and stops flashing. Pump, pressure gauge, and booster tank level gauge are next to that. And right on top of this engine tunnel here is the mirror controls, left and right side mirrors, and the top and bottom mirrors are both motorized. Right on top of the doghouse also is generator operating instructions. It gives you the limits on when you can engage that generator and when you can't. Gives you a maximum RPM to engage that, and gives you some instruction. All the way across here on the other side of the engine cover, there looks like an air intake grill on the front of the dash right here, and you'll be able to see it when we go around the other side. But that's a cleanable filter, just like the air conditioner intake right in the ceiling up here is a cleanable filter. You need to clean those filters once every 3 months or 6 months. They get very dirty. This intake filter here is where the defroster air comes from. If you pile your hood, your bunker coat, and clipboards up against that air intake, your defroster won't work, because that's where it gets the air from. Going across the top here, the emergency lighting, and over here is most of the scene lighting. Cab scene, passenger side scene, rear scene, so floodlights, rear scene. So lots of lighting here, and the driver's side cab scene light is tied into the door switch. Next to that's the siren, and beyond that is the traffic advisor. That's the light stick on the rear, and beyond that is the seat belt fastened or unfastened status indicator. Do not move truck lights. So we got a do not move truck light that is aerial, and it's blue, correct?
Yes.
And we've got the regular do not move truck light that is red. That means something's not stowed for travel. On trucks, it can mean many things. In addition to doors, it could be light towers, ladder racks. It could be all kinds of stuff. So think of it as do not move the truck light. Something's not stowed properly. And here on the air conditioner, I just want to point out, I see you've got the manual drains on this. That's great. Because these air conditioners are so efficient, especially when you leave the doors or the windows open and the air conditioner is running, it will try to suck all the air, all the moisture out of the air in Florida. Okay. When it does that, it makes a lot of condensation inside the unit, and it's got a drain. If it overwhelms that drain, then the stuff in here starts getting wet, starts spilling out of the vents. You can prevent that by keeping the doors and the windows of the truck closed when the air conditioner is running. Other way to prevent that is keep the fan running strong, keep the fan on higher speeds if you can stand the noise, and keep all these vents open. Just like at your house, if you have a room with 2 air vents, and one of them blows on the wife at night and she doesn't like it, you close it, always condensates around that air vent, doesn't it? Same thing's going to happen in here. The more of those vents you leave open, and the higher you run the blower, the better off you're going to be on the condensation issue and keeping the doors and vents closed. I don't know if I can mess with the display right now, so we'll come back to that later. Any questions on the cab and any of the controls? side of this little running board. That's pretty high access for a guy like me. So we've got these fold-out running boards on here. That's just to allow you a place to grab a handrail and step up there and get stuff out of that box. It's if you have a do not move truck light on, this step can trigger that. There's the magnet right there. So if that's not stowed, it's going to turn that do not move truck light on. Are we in your way? Are you okay? Are we in your way?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, coming to the pump panel, pretty elementary. We talked about it inside. Governor, discharges, primer. Just makes that noise right there. Tank to pump, tank refill. So, here's that. They call it a manual shift. It's really a pump override circuit. Just an override. So, to engage it, you're going to flip that guard up, flip that switch. That indicator light will come on, and the pump is now engaged. Right now, it engaged. So be sure that you disengage that before you drive the truck away. But what they've done to help you with that is that if you close this door, the way they've got it arranged, it pushes this guard back down and turns the switch off. So it closes by itself. But it is possible to leave that like that and roll the door down and forget about it. If you do, just be sure that you disengage it. I believe it still shows pump engaged. Yes. No, it shows pump engaged. So just be mindful of that. You don't want to drive down the road with this override applied and burn up your tank. It wouldn't take long. It would burn the seal out of it. Not as critical on this truck. We've got these both open, and I like that if that was on purpose.
When we did the squad training, that's how they told us to leave it, because of the driver's elbow hitting the pumping gauge.
So, one thing to know about these, not such a big deal on this truck because it's got the door. But if you have a top mount truck, you have to keep these snugged up and locked. If I keep unscrewing this thing will just come out. And on a top mount truck, they'll come out and fall off down the road. So it's always a good idea to go ahead and lock these. Not as big a deal here because you got the compartment. Let's go this way. So on this truck we have two separate depth fluid tank right here. And fuel tank is right here. Very nice. It's got a cap holder. Very nice. Also, these are door switches also. So if you've got a do not move truck light on, it could be one of these. We had aerial training
We did this week.
earlier this week. I don't have to cover any of this. So right in here you can reach the aerial drain. And I've always believed it's a good idea to keep that aerial drain open until you charge this thing and start to use the aerial water. certainly when you're going to go, you're going to bring this aerial down, open that drain, and allow it to drain out. Okay. I don't know if the aerial guy covered any of that with you or not. Yes. You did? Okay. You know what's in all these? You guys know this stuff. Hose bed lights are here. They're just strip lights up in the hose bed. And this passenger side high visibility. It's like a light stick. And there's high thing. Rear scenes, watch your eyes. Come on here. Four more SCBA cellular storage there. If you remember me talking about the intake relief valve, so the intake relief valve protects the suction side of the pump from overpressurization from an outside source. And I showed you the picture on the screen in there. That valve is behind me. Give you a little door here so you can access that. You can put your hand on that valve, but the adjustment is at the far back end of it. So you would get under the truck to access that, but at least you can put a flashlight on there and see where you're going. But yet the adjustment is about a 3/4 inch hex on the back side of it. Change that. Coming to the officer seat here, the officer side seat. He's got several things that he can interact with. He has 3 power outlets right here. I assume he's going to have a computer one day right here. Over there, he's got an additional parking brake on the engine tunnel for him to operate there. And I believe those are some siren switches and air horn switches on the top of the engine. We've got an 1 3/4 jump line here. Looks like 75 feet.
100.
That's 100. Well, only one coupling.
Should be one 100-foot section, yes.
Yeah. So this makes tilting, opening the little hood a little bit challenging with this whirligig. Yeah. Sold trucks for 13 years. And only at the very end, I sold 2 rotor rays and 2 bells. And yeah, just 2 out of 125. Yeah, you're gonna pull to the right, and it'll come up a little bit. And then it's on the safety catch, then you push to your left, and then take the rest of it. Right. So up here, some things to know about. The windshield washer fluid is here. The air intake pre-filter, rock catcher is right down here. That's a cleanable filter. Wiper motor, of course, is there. Cab tilt here. Cab direction. Here's a hidden door lock switch. If you ever can't get in the truck, this will unlock the doors. This rubber push button. This is coolant surge tank, and right back here, I'm not tall enough to see it, is the power steering reservoir, dipstick, and sight glass to check your power steering. So, can't really tilt the cab in here, Ken.
We can pull it out if you want.
Yeah, we got to raise the ladder. We'll have to do that later.
I got a question, Tim. How many different winch hookups are there?
I only saw the one.
Okay.
That's, I'm glad you mentioned that. And it's printed right there on us, 10,000 pounds, and that's at straight pull. So if we were pulling directly out there, 10,000 pounds. So if you pull off to an angle, please be cautious with that. It's, engineered, bolted on there to pull straight away. If you're pulling at an angle, go a little easier on it than you would pulling straight on. And your winch is probably a 9,000 pound winch that you have for it.
9,500.
95.
It's on the squad.
So it should, stop. So all that should be matched up fine. Just when you're pulling that off angle, be a little extra cautious. And the power supply is Any questions? Other than tilting the cab and running through some things underneath the cab, that's all I've got for now. So you can